Welcome to another episode of the Chucks Over Strikes podcast. We're your host. I'm Dean. This is my partner Craig. We had a bit of technical difficulties on the last episode. I recorded it in slow motion, so I was wondering why it was taking so long to upload to edit, and because I seen a flash or a flicker, and I was like, okay. I was like, yeah, it's nothing. But then when I got home and I checked, I was like, oh. So I fixed it, but it was way too big. It was like almost like 20, 30 gigs. Yeah. So we had to scrap that episode. So we're just redoing episode 10 and we're just going to get back on track with the podcast. So if you're here or you've been watching the previous episodes, make sure to tell a friend and also subscribe. We usually tell you guys in the end, but we're going to tell you in the beginning because sometimes you guys don't watch to the end. So make sure you subscribe and tell a friend.
And to add on to that, because I know there was some time that has gone in between, so I would say Super Bowl's done. After two major snowfalls, we're back. We didn't go too far, but again, plus the technical difficulties. So just glad to have you back. And by the way, I was so happy that Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl because I totally hate Kansas City Chiefs. Got it off my chest. I feel much better. And after shoveling out my back, after a few weeks, I'm ready to go. I don't know about you. Wrong. I don't know about you, but this last couple of weeks, especially with the snow, it really reminded me that we live in Canada.
To me, I don't mind it because it's good exercise. So I'm in the house too often, so I get a bit of workout. So if I feel a ache here or there, I'm like, yo, my muscles are working. So it's a good thing for me. So I don't mind it.
I don't necessarily mind the aches. It's just that it was just so much snow one time. I'm just like, what the heck? And I think because the last couple of years we hardly got any snow, you begin to forget that it's Canada. So
one thing that kind of popped into my head with all this snow, and I seen somebody post it on their story. They're like, "Where's all the kids like to shovel the snow for $20?" It's a supply and demand thing, and that's where we as a society are lacking with our young ones. Like, get them out the house, put them to work. Like, even if you have to supervise them, go out there with them. Some of you have snow blowers. Utilize that. Make back your money that you paid for it. Oh, I barely even use this damn thing. Okay, put it to good use now.
Yep.
Like, it took my street, it took them almost like 2-3 days before they cleaned it properly. And I still see like people with like snow plows, bulldozers cleaning streets and whatnot. Some people still can't get out their house. It's even the people with their cars stuck on the streets.
Okay, oh yes.
Like, yo, I would say, hey, I would leave a note on the car, be like, hey, I'll clean this for you for like a monies, or I'll knock on everyone's door and be like, is that your car? I'll go clean it for it, dig it out for you, so that now you have access to your vehicle. When people need something, they will pay money for it. Like, and that snow's not light anymore. It's heavy now.
It's heavy, yeah.
It's heavy. So it's like, hey, if someone says, oh, I'll shovel that out for you for like $50, like, why not, right? But again, like, this new generation is not thinking enough, and it's like, parents, you used to do these things. Push them to go do that. So now they're not asking you for money. You're literally giving them an outlet to make money for themselves. Now they don't have to beg you for money. They have their own money to go spend on whatever it is that they want.
So it's really funny you say that because on the first snowfall, it was shoveling by committee. So I took the kids. I said, let's go. The next door neighbors, two small kids, but my neighbor, like I said, his child's about maybe 8 years old. And the technique the man has to shovel, I'm like, yo, you could shovel. But what I did was community shovel. We all helped out. It took us an hour and a half. And then I said, yo, what do you guys want? I said, money or food? They're like, oh, we want food. So it was easy. Yeah. It was an easy transaction for me. I just bought them food.
People don't get it. Like, there's a guy on TikTok, he's showing people how to shovel the correct way. I was like, yo, if a kid's seen this, like, you literally go buy those 2 shovels.
Yeah.
Get 1-2 of your friends, and literally you can be shoveling out people's driveways like this. Like, the man just literally just went this. Whoosh,
down the middle.
Done. Then took the big scooper one. It had the 2 things, and you're not hurting your back.
Yeah.
Just done. I was like, that's genius. But these kids, like
I didn't see any kids, well, young adults, I would say, shoveling. None. And I could you imagine all the individuals or the older generation that still have a house and can't shovel? You're making a lot of coin. There was a lot of snow.
My next door neighbor, she was doing it. Stacy had to go out, like, Stacy was doing whatever, and then she seen her, and then her and the next neighbor started helping her shovel her driveway. It's like these kids don't do nothing. Kids, teenagers, whatever you want to call them, like
They don't do
you guys want to make money. Like
damn
snow is like right there for you guys. It's cash. Like you see snowfall, that's cash for you. You take it a step further, go buy salt even ran out. So funny story.
Yeah, salt ran out. Yes, that's correct.
My father-in-law, this guy tried to use his brain. So there was a salt shortage, like for one day. So don't panic. This guy went and bought salt, pool salt.
He bought the.
It's like, where you going with that, bro? Pool salt. I was like, okay, you're thinking because salt, but
Yeah.
no, that's not the right salt.
Not right salt. Yeah.
Like I seen it on the porch, but then Stacey, like no one said anything about it. And then Stacey's like, yeah, my dad bought pool salt. I was like, oh my goodness.
And then people are buying salt softener. So people were buying all the wrong types of salt because the salt ran out. But it was just funny to see people. I bought salt softener, but they're like, that's not salt. I said, I know. It's for my my water filtration system, so I know what salt I'm using. But they're like, we're just letting you know. I'm like, no, trust me, I know. I'm not gonna put pill salt. They're pill capsules on the flipping concrete. But
yeah, so that was quite funny. But yeah, like salting people's driveways, shoveling up the little access here.
There's so much money that people could have made just this past couple of weeks. Easy.
It's like think outside the box, man.
But again, I don't think it's not even think outside the box. It's what the parents are. Are we too lazy as parents to have these conversations and say, hey, yo, go out and do something? Because I find that, like I said, a lot of kids are just stuck inside on devices.
Yep.
And it's driving me nuts because I'm like, yo, pick up a shovel, go outside, get some exercise, get some air.
Yeah, like if you're making an excuse right now after watching this, like I'm something's not connecting here. Like, why do you want your kid inside all day, every day? Like, the good fresh air is good for them. It's good exercise. Like, let them work. Put them to work.
It's kind of asinine and it's annoying. But again, I just think it's the generation that we're growing up in. And if we don't voice it enough, no one's going to make a change or no one's going to really care about it. But
speaking of generations, I was watching this guy. He's a creator of Oracle. Well, not creator, but he's CEO or whatever of Oracle. Larry something. Can't remember his name. And he was talking about artificial intelligence. And the artificial intelligence we have now compared to what's coming, this is like the dumb artificial intelligence. Like, it's called artificial, where is it? Like, when the man started talking about it, I was like, what? Like, I kind of almost went down the rabbit hole when the man started talking about it.
His name is Larry Elon. But he just stepped down, actually. So he's no longer the CEO.
I don't think that's him.
No?
Let me see if it's that one. Oracle, right?
Yeah, Oracle. It says Larry Ellison,
Okay, I guess that's his name.
but it just said he stepped down. So there's a new person at the head of the table.
Oracle. Yeah, Larry Ellison, that guy, weirdo. But he said, what is this one called? So ChatGPT that we're using now, that is considered artificial. Where's the thing? I had it earlier. Artificial. No. Forgive me for this. Well, we just searched for this, but it was just so fascinating when he said it. Artificial. Just want to get the right term. This is what happens when you go down a rabbit hole and you can't find what you're looking for. There we go. Narrow artificial intelligence. That's what this one is. And that's like, it's not even anything too crazy. That's what businesses are leveraging now. But the real scary one is artificial general intelligence and artificial super intelligence. General's coming between the next 5 to 10 years. Mm-hmm. And general is where it can make decisions without a human being. So it was saying the ability to understand, learn, and apply knowledge across wide ranges of tasks at a human-like level, unlike narrow AI intelligence, which is designed for specific tasks like playing chess, recognizing face, driving a car. So artificial general intelligence can generalize its intelligence, reason, solve problems, and adapt to new solutions just like humans. So this can transfer knowledge across different domains. It can reason and problem solve. It can self-improve, and it can create and understand context. So when I heard that, I was like, yo, that's
Wow.
crazy. Like literally general intelligence will replace jobs. Super intelligence. That's where it got scary. And it was like, they're literally like, when it broke it down, it's like, that future is coming. Like, if humans continue to build like this, we're like, this is going to be the end of mankind. Like, robots are going to take over. And you know what popped into my head? I was like, yo, what if this is how Transformers started? And they're telling us a story, a future
But
story
yeah,
that's
yeah,
coming.
yeah.
Because if you watch Transformers, like the original one, like that just came out last year with Optimus Prime and Megatron.
Yeah, Megatron. Yes.
How
yes,
they
yes. The
became
partnership,
them.
They were. Yeah.
They were workers,
And they were partners.
and then they got whatever, and then
Yeah.
they became Transformers.
Yeah.
So it's like, this is kind of scary right now. I know, like, I'm going down a rabbit hole, and this is like conspiracy theory, but you have to really start thinking, like, this is the stuff that's happening. Like, back in the 1920s, they never thought they would have electricity. When in the Stone Age, they never thought they would have fire. These are things that can actually happen. And people, because people are imagining it and making it into movies, it can become a reality.
But I think you're very right in saying that. But look at The Simpsons. Look at if you're an avid Simpson watcher, look at all the episodes that has happened and what has been transpired in the 21st century, right? And when you talk about even again, don't want to go down a rabbit hole, but since we're talking about it, take a look at the pyramids, whether the pyramids in Egypt or Greece. You got to think about it. Slaves did not make the pyramids. It was just simply impossible for them to bring the stone from XYZ, and those stones are heavy, to bring it to a different site to make
Bro,
it.
it's not even just the way they built it, it's what's inside.
Exactly. That is, to me, that's impossible.
It-
There had to be some extra, well, technology, if you want to call it AI, but there was some type of technology back in those 1900s. It had to be.
The guy, so
It doesn't make any sense.
I was watching an episode of Mr. Beast, and the guy that was taking them around, he's like, there was no aliens. We built this. We understand. I was like, okay.
No.
Bro, it goes so deep. And
Think
like,
about it. There's no way.
how did you guys how did you guys know all this? Like, I don't know. Like, it's crazy.
And the mathematics to a T. Like
It's-
some of the things, it's like there's no regular human being back in those days, I believe, can sit down and build brick by brick by brick in the extreme heat.
The Sphinx, like, I don't know.
It doesn't make sense. So I firmly believe, like again, not to go through a conspiracy theory, there was some type of intelligence or technology that helped build these things, because there's no way. Oh yeah, slaves did it. No way.
It's crazy. I don't know. Like, and they're even showing the grave sites of where they put the slaves and stuff.
No, it's
crazy.
It's BS.
But like super intelligence, this one can exponentially be smarter than humans. So capable of making breakthroughs in science, medicine, economics, and technology at an unprecedented rate. Self-awareness and consciousness, independent decision making, unpredictable evolution. I was like, what is this telling me right now? Like, just hearing all that stuff, and Elon Musk talked about it too. He's like, something about someone like will become rabbits or something like that. But knowing that guy, he's gonna create something like that. But why would you want to create something so smart like that? Like, I don't understand their ends to a mean. Like, to me, it's like, leave things where it is. Like, you're going a bit too far now. Because now, like, if we're living amongst, imagine your neighbor's a robot. Like, what? That's weird. Or your friend's dating a robot. Like, that's what we're getting to. Like, people already like the virtual girlfriends or boyfriends or whatever. It's like, you guys are leading up to some weird stuff happening right now.
Funny thing, when I was working at X company, I won't say the name, my VP always said to me, if you're not trying to eradicate yourself from your own job, you're not doing enough. He was simply meaning that, hey, it's just, you just can't operate off the status quo. You got to go above and beyond to eradicate your job to show that you have some type of value at the end of the day. And he always said that. I never really understood it, but I understand it now. But I'm just like, this is what we're talking about.
It's crazy.
They want to ensure that, hey, they have things that could do work on a level that a human brain cannot sustain. Why? I don't know, but this is where it's coming to.
I even thought to myself, Elon Musk is really trying to live forever. Like, he's going to create something. He's going to be that guy with the brain in a little jar and just like live life. Like,
What cartoon is that again? Is
remember.
it? Oh man, what cartoon?
I want to say it's Futurama.
No, it was Ninja Turtles, I think. And the brain that was in the
Oh, he's in the suit.
in the suit.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, again,
crazy.
I know we're going a little bit off topic, but it's good conversation. But just to dial it back, because I was just thinking, we have something called Black History Month. And again, not sure what you think about it, Dean. What is this month worth? Like, what do we get out of this month? And because I don't see any benefit from it. To be really, really, truly honest, the month goes and comes, and then we're on to March. But what's the sense? Do we even call it Black History Month? How are we benefiting from this month?
I find the names change, but what's being taught or the history remains the same.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't really want to talk about too much like what my family's doing, but this is something that they notice, and it's like it's the same things we talk about every time. Like like almost everything that's around us has let's call it a circle, and it never changes. Like the cycle never changes. Like nobody ever interrupts it and says, hey, why don't we break this and try something different?
Exactly. Yep.
Because we talk about the same people. It's like if you ask people about Black history or kids in high school, they'll tell you about the same maybe 10 Black people in history. But it's like that's as far as it goes. And it's like we're just repeating it over and over again. Like school systems are failing. I'm not saying parents are failing because parents are teaching whatever they're hearing, or even on TV. Like at one point in time, the only movie that comes on Black history is Malcolm X and Roots. Only 2 movies.
I know.
But there's so much other things that's happened in between that time, but we're never talking about that stuff. Like we're literally talking about the same things over and over again. Like why aren't we talking about new age things that are coming up so that people can be like familiar with people that are actually alive? Like that's the part that kind of trips me up. And it's like the name always changes for these things, but it's never the information. It's always the same stuff. Like we got to take it a step further. How about we find people that are living? How about we look the last 50 years instead of the last 100 years? It's like, oh, they did this, okay, we got that. Like let's speed up with time now. Let's kind of shift over. But that's my 2 cents on it. And it's like we just have a cycle for everything, whether it's law, economics, politics, and it's always the same thing. Like nobody is ever trying to change how things are presented or the information that we tell people now.
And I think that's why it bothers me, because again, every year, yes, February comes as Black History, but again, I start to see the same things over and over and over. And like you mentioned, what's new? We're talking about the same movies. What else is there to learn? How can we continue to use Black History Month beyond February and help our communities or help change the narrative of our communities? Because once Black History is done, it's like, oh well, we're into March, that's it. I don't see any initiatives, and I could be wrong, I don't see any initiatives being continued from Black History Month to take on for another month or to take on for the next 3-4 years. It's just always, like you said, a cycle.
Yeah, even past the extension of Black history, like what you just said that like popped into my head is like, it becomes like all the months are themed.
Yeah.
March is March break. April's Easter. May is May 2-4 or Mother's Day. June, Father's Day, end of school.
And Juneteenth. I know it's
And
in America,
Juneteenth, yeah. And then July, beginning of summer, and whatever foolishness, whether it's Canada Day or Independence Day. August, it's end of summer. civic holiday for us.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what Americans have, but it's like everything is themed.
Yeah, Labor Day.
It's
Or,
like
sorry, not, yeah, it's another day, but I
yeah, Labor Day. Labor Day is September, usually September,
yeah.
but everything is themed. October, Halloween. Halloween, Thanksgiving for us. November, Black Friday, Thanksgiving for them. Christmas, everything is themed. January, worst month of the year, Blue Monday. Like everything, and it's like when you follow those things, your mood literally follows with them.
Yep.
You need to stop going with the or
Status
go
quo.
like yeah, go against the grain. Like be like, you know what? I'm not taking March break off. I'm gonna work in March break and I'm gonna take April off. Like do
Yeah,
something different.
yeah.
Like when you start getting into these cycles, you're literally living how your parents lived. They complained, now you complained. If you want change, change what you're doing. Change what you see. Challenge your beliefs. Stop conforming to what people are telling you should be your norm. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. But no, I couldn't agree with you 100% because, like I said again, it comes and then it goes, and then I see some media tidbits on, hey, Black History, we are doing something in square one because we are trying to uplift, and then, okay, what came from that? You don't hear nothing else from it. It's just like people just want a soundbite for Black History to say that they're doing something, and then okay, let's sweep it underneath the
Or
rug.
it's even like everybody in line, this is what we're doing right now, follow suit. Like, come on, like St. Patrick's Day, like wear green. Like, no, I'm not doing that stuff.
It totally bothers me, and I think to me, as our generation grows up, what would Black History mean to them?
Yeah, like if I feel like doing an event, why can't I just call it Black History Month in June?
In June, exactly.
Like it's just like your birthday. Like this year, I want to celebrate my half birthday. Like why do I have to wait till January? It's the coldest month, one of the coldest months of the year. Nobody wants to ever come out. Why can't I celebrate my birthday in June or July?
Yeah. I know it's so funny. I know someone that did that with their daughter because I think the daughter's birthday is in November. So it's like, no, it's like winter.
Yeah,
Winter's
no one
about
wants to do nothing.
Nobody wants to do it, and they pushed their birthday to like the summer, and they went somewhere, and I was like,
You know what's funny?
I was like, wow.
I just did this randomly one day, and I just posted that it was my birthday. And the amount of people that just said happy birthday and didn't even know. It's like, you know when your birthday is. Most people don't even think. So if I want to switch my birthday around, then why not? So be it.
I know, it's funny, but it does. People do it. It's not outlandish.
The most thing I'll do, I'll get a half a cake and say, this is my half birthday. Like, I don't want to celebrate it in January no more. Everybody never wants to come out. So let me do it when it's warm, have a barbecue, and I'm good.
You know what's so funny? It will be I'm not sure if you're a Seinfeld person or Larry David person.
I hate Seinfeld.
But that's what they talk about. They take certain topics like this and like, yo, why can't we do that? So a half birthday, they will come up with an idea and a theme and make it out of a show. That's why it's so funny. Like I never used to watch Seinfeld
I never
before.
understood. Now that you say it, then now I see why people got
I was just
into it.
like, oh my God, that's funny. And then I started watching Seinfeld. I'm like, who wrote Seinfeld? Looked him up, Larry David. I'm like, oh, this is the guy behind it. Then he came up with his own show. And like I said, the humor is dry, but it's so funny.
It makes sense.
They think about things that like, yo.
It's what you're thinking, but you don't do it. And
exactly.
That's how people need to live their lives. Like,
exactly.
Stop just conforming to the regular, do this, do that. Be like, no, challenge it. Why do I have to do that? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Like if your brain's racking about it, ask yourself that question. It goes back to first principles thinking. Why? And keep going down to the root to find out why things are the way they are. Simple as that.
And you know what? It kind of like going into the next topic that we're going to discuss. It has somewhat of a tie-in, but not necessarily. But as we talk about Black history, and then going into how Black-owned businesses access money for small business. You know, how do we do it? Where do we go? Again, I think Dean and I, we spoke about this a lot of times. There are 1,000,001 initiatives and grants for these things, but when you try to go through it, it's either they give you 10 million pages to go through, and when you go through it, it's like, okay, I've gone through the 10 million pages and I don't have one thing, so therefore your application's scrapped, right? And or you just don't know or you don't understand how to go through it, so you give up. And then when the grants, and then when you do go for it, oh, we filled up our status. There's no more space. Okay, how do I go through it again? Oh, next year. So for me, and I know it's maybe a question that a lot of people have out there, what are the grants that we can actually go for and actually get them And I think, and again, the reason why I ask that is a lot of people go for things and they just don't get it. And then meanwhile, people go for it and just get it all the time and they're very consistent in getting it. Do we have to go through it and go through the process and not get it to get it? Like, what is it? Do they need to know we're going for it and say, okay, we're going to give these guys a next chance? I don't get a lot of feedback when we go through applications, and when you do get the feedback, it just says you didn't get it, and that's it. So how do we become more savvy? How do we become more knowledgeable of how to access these grants and actually get money from them to grow our business? At the end of the day, we're two people. In order for us to work for our community, we want to bring on our community. So we don't want to be the two people doing everything. Like, our sole objective is to hire people so they can gain the access and the experience in doing this type of work, because it's financial literacy. Not to make it to say that it's not cool. It is cool, and a lot of people like talking about money. But again, if we can't hire people because we can't access these things, how are we going to do it? And I just think that it's just, I would like to know, okay, well, hey, if I'm going for something, can someone walk me through it? And especially when you get a no. We all know that no usually is a gateway to yes, but there's not enough individuals that when you go through this process that sits you down and say, hey, well, you didn't get the funding because of X, Y, and Z. You just never hear back again. And again, how do we approach these things? Like, how do we still keep the confidence to keep pushing? Because like I said, I just don't think it's easily accessible. Or let me change that. I'm not saying it's not easily accessible. I just think a lot of us don't know how to go about doing it. And when you don't know about going about doing something and you do it wrong, your confidence is hit. And when you don't have the confidence, you may not go back there again. So
I have a different stance on that.
Yeah.
Grants are great, probably in the beginning, but I think more so for businesses that are trying to build something, like maybe like some sort of like technology funding project or something like that, right? But if like you're depending on going for the grant, to me that's saying that there's something in your business that can be fixed or needs fixing. Because if you're looking towards the grant, it's kind of like your business is shaky to me. It's like, why not fix the processes or something in your business to start generating cash flow? Like grants, yeah, that's a great outlet to get money, but you could also get money other ways. Like if you have a proper business plan, everything set up, like if you get denied by a grant, then if you have that business plan set up, then why not just reach out to investors? Be like, hey, like this is my business model. I'm looking for
X amount of
funding, and this is what I have, and then you present it to people. Like there's other ways, but it's like getting stuck on those grants. Like to me, that's like, it's just treat it as like a bonus. It comes in, that's it. But like there's processes in your business. Like, hey, if I was able to fix one thing in my business, can I generate more sales? What is it that I can do? And if people focused on that more than these grants, I think they would be 10 times further. And these grants or whatever, they're there, but it's like, it's almost bonus. So it's like icing on your cake after. So that's my take on it.
And I think you're right in saying that some of these grants are more driven to, like, again, don't get it twisted. When they're offering a grant, to me, it has to benefit them in some shape or form. So when you say some of these grants are technology driven.
No, I don't mean that's technology driven, but I mean like if your business is something where you're developing something and you need the capital to pour into it, yes, by all means. But if it's like something that's a service-based business, it's fix the processes in your business, start generating more capital. Or you can just bootstrap, where you take that money, you reinvest it back into your business. It's like, hey, I found a strategy that works in my business. Let me double down on that. Because if it worked the first time, if you double down on it, it should work the second time. And it just keeps layering on top of each other. And then now you go from 1 to like 50. If you just keep doing the same thing over and over again. The problem people have is they do one thing, it works, and then they move on to a next thing instead of just doubling down on this thing. Because if you double down on this thing, it'll make enough that you don't have to do the second thing. And that's where a lot of people are getting it wrong. Like I see people with businesses, they say, oh, I have this, and then they bring out something else, and I'm like, why are you going to that for? Oh, because this, and it's like, they're telling me all the reasons why, but this was your moneymaker. Stick with that and just let that ride. Like ride the wave with it. Like this guy, he had a store. He was selling, I think he only sold one item. It was What's the thing in the washroom?
What is it for?
The water thing.
So we're playing
The thing the water comes out of, man.
the spout. I know the
For the why am I? Oh my god! I feel like a retard.
It's like we're playing what's called the word game, and you're doing this. I'm like, what are you writing?
Turning on the water, the faucet.
The faucet.
There we go. Yeah, that's the only thing that he sold, the faucet. And it's like
Yeah.
he didn't introduce anything else, and he grew a big business from it. But people think it's like, oh, okay, I got the faucet. Let me get the sink now. Let me get the vanity. Let me get the mirror. It's like you don't need all this extra stuff. If that one thing is working, double down on it. You made some money, pour it back into it.
So why do you think people think like that?
Education. Like some people are just not properly educated on terms of like running a business. It's like they're just winging it and just saying, oh, I got to do this, I got to do that. Oh, let me add this, let me add that. And it's like you're not drilling down to your numbers. Like, yeah, this is a hot seller, but if you're only making a profit margin of like 5-6% and this one's making you 20%, why are you wasting your time with that? It doesn't make sense. And it's like drilling down into that one thing. If people focused on doing less than more, they can make way more money. But it's like, oh, I got to do this, I got to do that. And it's like they're trying to scoop up the whole market. And you don't need to. It's just too much. It's like, I want to say like, not Kmart. What store went out of business that was just doing too much? I can't even think right now. But yeah, it's just like, just do that one thing that you do well. Focus on that and just blow it up. That's it. It's just like how people with building their wealth. Oh, I got to be in the stock market. I got to have crypto. I got to have real estate. No, just do one thing and blow it up and make your money. Like, perfect example. Floyd Mayweather only focused on boxing for the longest while. Made a ton of money. He went from fighting to promoting. From promoting to owning real estate. He doesn't do anything else.
Yeah.
And now he owns like $400 million worth of real estate in Manhattan now.
Yeah,
he bought over 1,000 properties.
Yeah, he just bought something in Manhattan. Yeah.
He just took from one vehicle and moved it to a next. But most people will be like, oh, let me go box, let me do this, let me do that. Your focus is everywhere. You're taking your focus away from that one thing. That one thing will make you explode, and then that's it. But people want to do too many things all at once.
I mean, I think even with Mayweather, again, it speaks to his strong team, because God knows he's not doing this by himself. But again, when you have that strong team around you that can help you diversify or make decisions that you may not be knowledgeable of, it just makes doing things like this a lot easier. Again, his money is going to be so long that
Yeah, he knows what he's doing. Just buy real estate.
his great grandkids are going to be able to, make money from anything that he
62
touches.
properties he bought from another company.
So that's
He's winning.
been winning. And again, and when he used to fight, he was making like almost 40-60 million a fight, because he was unbeaten. He was the GOAT, just like LeBron. LeBron is, I guess, the GOAT in this era. He's not my GOAT, just so that you know, but he's the GOAT in this era. And look what he does. He's a billionaire now, and what he does is that every season he spent almost $2 million on his body. That's why he's playing at 40. He could probably play another 3-4 years. But again, he was good at one thing. He was not good. He's great at one thing. And he even said it, like, being around his family, or not being around his family, just somewhat not being around. Like he talked about it, saying, you know what, I wasn't there for a lot of things, but my family understood my sacrifice in order for us to be where we are today. And some wives, husbands, kids probably couldn't, oh, I don't see my dad because he's doing X, Y, and Z. But for some reason or some way, he was able to help shape their minds to say, hey, I'm doing this now, or I may miss a recital here, I may miss this and miss that, but I'm doing it for the bigger reason.
You see that, and that's, I don't even know how they tie together, but just talking about that topic, just the sacrifice. Like even Mr. B said it. He's like, I sacrificed my happiness for this, but this is what I love doing. And
so is it really sacrifice your happiness? That's the thing about it.
yeah, but it's what he goes through though. It's because he's like, what I go through, a lot of people would never do. But it's like, he's low-key sacrificing his mental health. Like he has an obsession and is to me, his deception's a bit too much. But yeah, you have all this money, but like deep down inside, like, are you really happy? Yeah, you're doing. It's like, because if he stops, he has nothing to do.
Yeah.
What do you do?
What do you do?
So to me, I don't think he's really happy. It's because I'm at this level now. If I stop, what do I do? Mind you, he's only like 26. So it's not like to say he has kids and think like he's getting married, but I can see him slowing down if he has kids after. But as of right now, if he was to just stop, because he has more than enough money, he's gonna go crazy. He's not gonna know what to do to himself. And it's like because he's over obsessed with that passion of making videos. Like the man's like, I don't think some people can be buried for 7 days. When he really said that, I really thought about it. I was like, yo, what if you have to go poo? Like, you're in a box. Like, he was peeing in like a cup or a bottle. But it's like, what if you have to go poo? And if your belly starts rumbling
and you're buried.
like, yo, you have to wait for those guys to unbury you or
shit
like
up yourself. But
like, come on.
But that's the thing. Like you just speaking about that. Again, I'm not a huge Mr. Beast fan. Yes, I know of him, but these are the things that I'll sit down and watch because it's fascinating. Like, why would you want to be buried for 7 days? Like, what's your thought process?
It's we're vicariously living through them, and that's why he said, and that's why I make those videos. It's like he's trying to hit the ultimate goal, and I think maybe when he hits that goal, then he'll probably stop. But right now, it's like we all have goals, and it's like when you hit a certain level, you're trying to hit that next level. But for him, it's like there's no end because he hits 1 billion, and what do you do after that? And if you hit it before you're 30, my goodness, like it's gonna be scary because now you have 1 billion subscribers on YouTube. Like he's already at 300 million, and he's got there pretty fast. So now imagine he gets to 1 billion.
I know, that's just Mr. Beast, man. You have a friend in me. If you need one. But yeah. And again, and this is why I know we always talk about Elon Musk, but he's always in the media, and he's always in the news. So I had to bring it up because as I was kind of just looking at things to talk about, I saw this and it made me laugh because they're like, listen, they're trying to sign a petition here in Canada to have Elon Musk's citizenship removed. And this is the reason why. They're like, Elon Musk is using his wealth and power in the Trump administration to influence Canada's elections and says he has engaged in activities that go against the national interest of Canada. He has now become a member of the foreign government, because yes, he is now part of the government in the US, that is attempting to erase Canadian sovereignty. And this is the reason why they want, well, I guess because he must have a citizenship here or a citizen of Canada, they want to remove it. Not to mention, I'm not sure if you remember, maybe a couple weeks back when this whole terrorist thing was being talked about, and he was like, I think we said something about putting a tax on them, and he's like, oh well, who cares? A lot of people are just like, yo, we need to get this guy out. And my question is, do you think him being on the government roster with Trump influences Trump negatively or positively?
I don't know. I just think that guy has ulterior motives. Like he's doing something low key that nobody's really paying attention.
I'm a firm believer too. I think, again, there's no reason, because if you want to even go back, I don't think when Trump became president in 2016? It had to be 2016 because
16,
then 20 was Biden. So yeah, 2016. So from 2016 to 2019, I didn't see Elon Musk pushing heavily for Trump. I don't remember him being...
He wasn't a part of any of that stuff.
Yeah, he wasn't going so hard. So like you said, what's his ulterior motive? You were pushing for him to win. He won. And if he didn't win, you're like saying, if he didn't win, all these things are going down the pipeline and, oh my God, we can't vote for Kamala Harris and all this stuff. But why are you so behind him? What makes Trump such a big commodity now as opposed to 8 years ago?
It has to align with something that he's trying to do. One, he's the world's richest man.
He said bitches.
Richest man in the world. But then the Starlinks, the Neuralinks, Teslas, like the Dogecoin thing. So he's up to something. And I'm not heavy on politics, but it's the government doesn't make the decisions. It's the businesses that run America
But yeah,
that make the decisions. So if he's like number one or number two to him, then whatever he needs goes. So that's how I see it.
I like I said, he's always in the media. So when I saw this, I just thought it was. I just want to bring it up because I'm a firm believer that he has. I don't know what the positive influence can be, but when it comes to negative influence, or not even negative, just influence overall, whether it be negative or positive, I think he's in Trump's ear.
Most definitely.
When you're in, again, Trump is the most powerful man from a president standpoint because he can just sign stuff, go through. So does Elon Musk have some type of ulterior motive to say, hey, you know what? Let me get in his ear to know that, okay, if I'm gonna bring something down the line, it's easy, sign. And again, it makes you think, robots, all these things that are coming down the pipe. I don't know if Trump even knows what's going on. Okay, Elon, what do you want to do? Sounds good.
Yeah, both are businessmen, so.
And they're businessmen, exactly. So I think at the end of the day, they know exactly what they're doing. So enough about Elon Musk. Get him out of here. Want to jump into a good news story. I'll just say yesterday, there was a basketball / tournament / fashion show that was put on by Push Elite. Checks or Strikes were there. And there was a donation given. And there was one lucky recipient. They did a raffle yesterday. And there was one lucky recipient that won $500. And the reason why I'm bringing it up, because again, Dean and I are big community people. And when you're able to give something to somebody and it makes them elated or it makes them like go above the moon, it always fills my heart. And not to mention, this particular person, I saw them with their child like throughout the day yesterday because there were different activities. And she didn't seem happy. And, I didn't ask her, but I just saw her throughout going through different things. She was her child. Her child was, I don't know if her child was sick maybe, but her child was like, a little bit miserable, but, 2-year-old, And when she won, it was just like, I won? I won $500? Or like, yeah, you won $500. And it was just something as that, to me, something as simple as that. People may say that $500 is not simple, but when you get that money and it's in your hand and you don't know what someone's going through on top of that, you don't know what kind of changes can come through giving. So I just want to say, Checks Over Strikes, we give to our community as much as we can because it not only makes the community feel good, I'll talk for myself, it makes me feel good inside because again, if we're able to give back as much as possible, you're building a community that one day will do the same thing for somebody else. So again, big ups to Push Elite for doing the basketball tournament, for our fallen soldiers, Team Nigel, Team Zalik. It was a great showing. Again, this event will be done next year. And it was just a good look to see all the kids, all the parents out taking in the basketball game. There was a lot of basketball games were happening. But again, it just brought a lot of community out. There was food, there was prizes, there was face painting, there was a whole bunch of things. But overall, it was a good look. So just want to make that a notable mention. And this is going to go into one of the scenarios or one of the games we like to play. It's called Check or Strike. And the reason why I chose this particular scenario is I know a lot of people have different takes on this. So our question to you, and we'll talk about it while we're here, is whether you feel paying rent or paying mortgage is a check or a strike. And I'll ask Dean first. I'll give, you know what? I'll ask Dean first and then I'll speak on it, on what he thinks or how he feels about either paying rent or mortgage, and then whether it's a check or a strike.
I would say it's neither. It all depends. It's more on your situation. And if you're able to, like say you don't want to live in one country, rent. Now you don't own anything, right? You're not obligated to pay a mortgage. Just pick up yourself and leave. But if you're trying to plant your feet, have something that you want to pass on to kids, generations, then mortgage, right? And mortgage can be a long-term commitment, so it has to be something that you're willing to do. Not something where you say, "Oh, I want to buy a house and then flip it 2, 3 years later," which is the norm for us here, which doesn't make any sense. You know who's really winning when it comes to mortgages? It's your grandparents or your parents because they held it for 20, 30 years and they didn't move. I, I would say it's 80s babies and up where we became the norm is we need to switch every so often. We don't say, all right, this is what I'm holding on to and I'm sticking with it for the next 20, 30 years. If we adopted that mindset for all across the board with everything that we do, we would have so much more wealth. But we're always switching within that like 3 to 5 year period. And not just like real estate, but it could be stocks, it could be jobs, all these things. We're always switching instead of saying, let me just plant my feet here and that's it. But if you're somebody that's lives in the city and like you see that rents continuing to go up or it's harder to find somewhere to live, then your goal should to try to be to buy something that you own, to try to keep it at a level, right? Mind you, if you are like your goal, if you're buying a house, don't stick with the regular mortgage. Make the advance payments. Like they're saying, if you put like $100 each month, that shaves off like 100,000 in interest. That would be the smart move for you to do, so that you're cutting down the time and how much you're actually paying to the bank. So that's my take on it.
So again, he says neither, and I'm going to jump down the same rabbit hole just because, and this is why I wanted to have a conversation about it, is it all depends what situation you're in, but I think the biggest thing out there is what society pushes. Society always pushes, okay, you go through the process, get a house, the white picket fence, the kids, live there forever. So a lot of people have that in their minds because it's what society is pushing, and when they don't attain that goal, they automatically think that they failed.
Yeah.
To be quite frank with you, before I moved where I moved, I had no issues living with my mother-in-law. Just because we had our own space, and if we wanted to, we could just rent out the house we lived in and stay where we were staying. And hence, travel, do the things with our kids, show them different aspects of what the world has to give, and have someone else pay the mortgage, right? But again, when society pushes certain narratives on you, you don't even subconsciously know you're doing these things, or you're tapping into what they want you to do, as opposed to doing something for yourself, or just thinking it through, thinking it out and actually writing a plan. And hey, this is how we're going to do it, and we're not going to live the norm. We're going to live outside the box because the norm is to do X, Y, and Z. And when you follow the norm, you usually don't get ahead. So I'm with Dino with this one. It's neither or for me. I would, like I said, if I could do things over, I would stay with my mother-in-law and have someone rent my home and be super comfortable with it. But again, not everyone sees it that way. So that was just our thought process. We would love to hear what you have to think. We'd like to have thought-engaging, thought-provoking conversations. So most definitely it's something that we're putting out there. And again, we do this segue every show. We come up with a scenario and, kind of talk about whether it's a check or a strike. But yeah, I think that wraps it up. I know we spoke about various different things, and I know we kind of went off segue, but sometimes when we have these conversations, it leads into other things that spark the mind, and it sparks conversation. And the reason why we do it is that if no one's having these types of conversation, then who can someone learn from? And that's why we do the things we do, because we want to get a level of engagement, and we also want to talk about what people feel embarrassed to talk about, or they feel that it's maybe stupid to bring up, because these are the conversations that we need to have. And if people are more open about what is going on in their head, much less what's going on in their lives, it can open the door to conversation. And when you open the door to conversation, you actually learn something that you may have not learned before. And that's the whole point. They always say you never want to be the smartest in the room because you're never going to learn or you're going to evolve. So something to think about. But again, that wraps it up from another episode of the Checks Over Strikes podcast. This is Craig. It's my partner, Dean. And we'll see you next week.